Hello and welcome to our presentation about From Data to Smart Content, how data and iiRDS become the information backbone of the industrial Internet of Things. Let's start with a short introduction. My name is Frank Ralf. I've been working as a senior technical consultant for Parson since 2014. My main focus is on information architecture, metadata modeling, the optimization of documentation workflows, and data authoring environments. My team and I created several sets of DITA XML sample content for Adobe for AEM guides to test and develop advanced data features for AEM.
And I'm Lukas Jetzig. I'm a technical communicator at Parson, and I've worked in several information architecture projects, both with AEM guides and with other solutions, and seen how the several metadata models and solutions can interact with each other towards a harmonious solution.
Let me introduce our company, Parson. Parson is a small technical consulting company. Parson was founded in 2006 and is based in Hamburg in the northern part of Germany. We are experts for all aspects of technical communication and provide documentation, consulting services, development, and training. Parson develops information architectures for smart content and provides consulting for information management systems, the automation of content processes, and content strategies. Parson is an Adobe technical communication partner. As experts for DITA XML, our main focus is on AEM guides and how to integrate AEM guides into the complete AEM landscape. Parson believes in the power of open standards and is therefore one of the leading DITA ambassadors in Europe, and we are founding members and contributor to iiRDS, the international standard for intelligent information request and delivery. So after this short introduction, we will tell you about what the requirements for the new industrial Internet of Things are, what the documentation-related needs are. Then we give you a short overview of DITA and iiRDS, the two standards that are most important for providing intelligent information. Then we will look at how intelligent information can be implemented in AEM. We will show you a short demo, how you can publish such intelligent content to an AEM site. And after that, we have a closer look at the technical implementation details if you want to implement a metadata concept based on iiRDS in AEM. And we will close this presentation with the key takeaways, and you will have the option to ask us questions. Okay, let's start with the question, what does the industrial Internet of Things need? Why is intelligent information necessary today? What is this all about? In the past, documentation meant to create large manuals, either as PDF file or even print it out. But this kind of documentation does not work any longer. The digital transformation means that we have to publish to multiple output channels. That could be online media on different devices, from smartphones to displays that are integrated in machines. That can mean augmented reality or even virtual reality. And you have to provide digital information today also to digital assistants like chatbots or voice assistants. And all of these channels require targeted information. With the industrial Internet of Things, there is also ever more data and information available that must be integrated automatically into the technical documentation. This can be measurements and sensor data together with their evaluation. In addition, more and more technical components and software in production and operations are networked, so that must be integrated as well. There are more product variants available today, even up to batch size 1. And you can even create a digital twin of your product that also includes content from product and service documentation. All this requires a completely new approach to authoring and delivering technical content. We call it content appropriate digital delivery of smart content. What does that mean? Smart content must be machine readable and modular and reusable. The content must be enriched with metadata to make it smart. It must provide the right information at the right time, and it must be individually tailored to your product and your users. That means for the delivery of smart content, the content must be individually searchable. Documents are no longer large one-size-fits-all manuals, but are dynamic compilations. The content must be able to be displayed on all devices and touch points. And finally, you also have to cater for digital assistance. To integrate all these sources of data and information and to provide targeted content to such a wide range of output channels, it is necessary to use proven standards for ensuring the interoperability across all involved components.
Now, the core idea of our talk is that DITA and iiRDS are the perfect standards for bringing together your information from creation to the output. Why do we believe that? Well, let us again quickly consider the needs of intelligent information and the properties. Structurized, format-free, modular and easily reusable, semantically enriched, and offers a variety of uses for the output. Now, to achieve that, there are four aspects we really need to look at. We need to have a look at the underlying structure of the content itself, the metadata, semantically enriching the content, and how all those play together during processing and delivery. If we try to match this to our properties, then we will see that the structure itself provides us with the rules and the opportunities to create format-free content in which authors can easily work. Thus, the content itself can be modular and reusable and easily used for a wide variety of applications. And finally, through our semantic metadata, we can create meaningful connections between our content and are easily able to say what content packages contain which kind of information, thus ensuring that our content will be machine readable and easily processed, and thus individually searchable, easily maintainable, and generally useful upon delivery. And this is the point where our two standards, DITA and iiRDS, come into play. DITA can provide the foundation. It provides both the structure and environment in which your authors can create content in an easy and modular way. And building up upon this, iiRDS on one hand provides a metadata model with which you can provide some standardized semantic meaning to your content, and also provides a standardized delivery format with which you can bring your content to a variety of touch points. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper here. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are aware of the benefits of DITA and how it works, but let's just quickly recap of what the benefits in this context are. The core idea of DITA is that we have modular information in the form of topics. So basically, a topic is self-contained and answers one specific question and has one specific information purpose. So it is easily reusable. The content in DITA is XML-based, so we can transform it to a variety of output formats. It is also itself very highly semantically structured, so this way you can support your authors and easily set up clearly defined authoring processes. Furthermore, the mechanisms of DITA easily allow reuse, the use of variants of variables, references, and such, in part through the use of the ingrained metadata within DITA. DITA is also a standard that is being maintained by OASIS and has a wide variety of knowledge associated with it and support available for it. Now, looking further towards iiRDS. Basically, there are two main components which iiRDS offers you. For one, the standardized delivery of metadata-enriched information. iiRDS has a metadata or has a package format through which you can easily make your content available through whichever touchpoint you want. It is cross-vendor and system neutral, and as such, as long as a touchpoint knows how to read it, it will also always have the right kind of information. The other part of iiRDS is that it offers a uniform vocabulary for your metadata. This is achieved through an ontology that is written in OWL, a standard within the semantic web technologies. Through the use of these standardized semantic web technologies, iiRDS can also easily be extended towards your needs, so you can make it fit your specific use cases without leaving the standardized world. Furthermore, iiRDS aims to further and further embed and converge into the standardizations around the industrial Internet of Things. In general, it is continuously maintained and developed by the iiRDS consortium, with its members from the industry, such as, for example, Siemens, SEW, Anderson Hauser, several consulting companies, and also software vendors. Now, I mentioned the ontology at the basis of iiRDS. Let's maybe have a bit of a closer look at that as well. Basically, at the center of iiRDS, you will find the information unit. That is basically like the topic in DITA, so basically the part that you want to convey your information with. Now, it could be a topic, it could also be a fragment or document or a package. It kind of depends on how much information you want to transport at one point. Attached to this information unit, you can then say semantically what kind of information is contained within it. Let's look at a short excerpt of the kind of metadata you can assign to it. First off, we have the information type. Through the information type, we can say what kind of information it is. For example, what kind of topic are we talking about? Is it a task, a concept? And as you can see, it's very closely aligned to the topic types that are offered in DITA. We could also, for example, have a look at the kind of information. For example, it's a technical data or a technical overview. So it is very clearly defined, okay, what does our information unit want to tell us? Also, iiRDS provides mechanisms for giving information about the product that is being described by an information unit. Now, we only have really 4 basic classes here, but the idea is that they can be used as connectors for a larger product model. Either perhaps you already have an existing product model, or you could build up your product model using these classes as a basis. Since product models can be highly individualized, iiRDS didn't try to make a one-size-fits-all solution, but rather offer its extension mechanisms so it can work for any kind of use case. The last example I want to look at is the functional metadata. As the name implies, functional metadata allows for several uses during content delivery. So for example, below the class event, you could have your error codes for a specific machine. When that error code pops up on the machine, it could then have a direct correlation to some troubleshooting topic. So a service technician would immediately know where to look. As you can see, this is only a small excerpt, and iiRDS has a lot more to offer. But in general, you will need to look at your use cases to see what your benefits from iiRDS will be.
Okay, now that you have seen a short overview and introduction of iiRDS, let's have a look how these standard-based concepts of intelligent information and metadata can be implemented in Adobe Experience Manager. Just a short recap. We have seen the different levels of intelligent information and how each level is supported by one of the standards DITA and iiRDS. Let's now see how these levels of intelligent information and how are implemented in AEM and how each level is supported by one of the components of AEM. Starting from the bottom, AEM Guides for authoring DITA content provides the structure and the content of intelligent information. On the next level, AM Assets provides the powerful metadata features of AM also for DITA content. And the delivery of smart content can be done by AM sites or AM headless. Let's look how this integrates into the complete process of authoring and publishing smart content in AM. Assets are the backbone of the authoring and publishing process. All DITA content is stored in AM as assets, like, for example, images and videos. Therefore, you can take advantage of the powerful metadata capabilities of AM assets also for your DITA content. AM Guides provides an integrated authoring environment for creating and managing DITA content. You assign the required metadata during the authoring process. And finally, you can publish your DITA content in a number of formats. For example, PDF, AM sites, or AM headless, including the required metadata. You can then use the published metadata in the output for filtering or metadata-based advanced search features. Before we delve into the technical details, how this actually is implemented in AM, we would like to show you a short demo of an AM site that was created using this publication process. After that, we will dive into the details and give you an overview how metadata works in AM and how you create a robust metadata model based on iiRDS. So we would like, at this place in the presentation, would like to thank our partner, PrimeForce, which is an official Adobe partner, for helping us with setting up this demo site. In 2019, PrimeForce was nominated Adobe Digital Experience Regional Partner of the Year, and they were of a big help in implementing this demo site. So what we see here could very well be the start page of a robots vendor producer for industrial robots. You see there are a lot of number of categories for different robots: transport, loading, assembly. We want to have a closer look at one specific line of products, the gantry robots. You see here, this is the landing page for the gantry robot. It's a combination of marketing content and additional content pulled from the technical documentation. You see the layout is very flexible. You can combine handwritten marketing content with technical documentation content. And you can imagine a user looking for a specific type of robot starting on this page, and then they might want to delve a little bit deeper into the details. For example, they want to know which components are part of this gantry robot. This is also a complete DITA topic, seamlessly integrated into the AM site. This can be done by the author without touching or using AM guides. You have your technical authors and your marketing content authors can work side by side, and the marketing authors can integrate the content from the technical authors directly into the AM site. There's another example for technical information pulled from the technical documentation. In this case, the technical data. You see there's below there's an additional image that was added to the technical data just to make it the site a bit more appealing, but the technical data itself is directly pulled in from the technical documentation that comes from AM guides. When we switch back to the start page and scroll down, there we have a button to jump directly into the complete technical documentation. instead of landing on the table of content, we opted for a search page because that is the usual way most people will access your documentation. You see on the left side the number of filters. These filters are based on the metadata that you have assigned to your topics, and the metadata is based on iiRDS. Let's look for an example. We look for information about the stepper motor. We want to see the technical data, and this is we want only the reference topic that is related to that. We apply the filter settings, and you see we get exactly the information we were looking for, the one topic that provides the technical data for the stepper motor. So besides using the filters, we can also use a full text search. Let's do that. This time we're searching for another component of the robot, the piston rod cylinder. And you see this time the number of filters on the left side is reduced to only those filters that are applicable to this component of the robot, which is a very convenient way to drill down on the information that you are looking for. In this case, we try to drill down because we only want to know the circuit diagram of the piston rod cylinder. We apply the filter and get exactly the one topic that answers our question. So what you can see, by integrating the technical documentation into your AM site together with the marketing content, you can create a consistent look and feel for your users and greatly enhance the user experience. And you make it easier for your authors by directly reusing technical information from the technical documentation written in AM guides, so that there's no need for copy and pasting, and the error-prone processes of doubling content are minimized.
So we showed you a little bit of what is possible. So now let's talk about how it is being done. Primarily now about how metadata in AM can be implemented. Now, first again, let's take a step back and see what kind of metadata AM guides even supports. Broadly speaking, you have two main categories: the profiling attributes DITA offers, and then the AM-specific asset metadata. Going quickly over the DITA profiling attributes, I think those working with DITA would be well aware of how they work. An easy way to explain it is you can assign conditions to your topics or to elements in your topics and say, well, for example, this task is only meant for a certain kind of audience, for example, administrators, or this step is only meant for a certain kind of product. You are able to either assign this kind of metadata through the XML syntax of DITA or through the Guides UI, which offers you an easy way to assign the metadata and also offers you the opportunity to predefine the possible values you can use within while authoring. You'd usually use this kind of metadata for variant management and for filtering your output. It should, however, be said that if you so wish, you can pass on this kind of metadata to the output as well and handle the filtering logic on a touchpoint side. Now, going further to the asset metadata, which is more AM specific. What is asset metadata? Basically, it is all kinds of properties that describe your assets within AM. An asset is basically kind of like a file in Adobe Experience Manager. As such, you will always have some predefined properties, for example, the MIME type or the creation date of your asset. It really depends on what kind of data and file we're talking about. One interesting subset of the asset metadata are the tags, which is basically also a kind of property with which you can assign predefined keywords to an asset. This might, for example, be useful if you want to quickly search for something in your assets folder, or it might also be a possible use case to pass that onto the output and use it for SEO uses, for example, in the keyword tag of HTML on your site. Really depends on what you want to use it for. From our point of view, however, the most interesting part is that you can create custom properties. And this is basically the part that gets interesting for content delivery. On the left, you can see some custom iiRDS metadata that is being assigned in the AM UI. And there, for example, you can see that we have created a custom namespace with iiRDS, which makes the metadata uniquely identifiable. And again, as I said, thus this can now be used for the content delivery. But how do you go about developing and implementing this kind of metadata model that you want to use? Now, before we go to AM, obviously first you have to think about what do you need your metadata for? Metadata for metadata's sake isn't really that useful. It always needs to fulfill a purpose. And there it's always very handy to think in use cases. For example, a technical writer might want to use metadata to assign the different product variants to the content and then reuse the content for the different product variants, which is, for example, where then the DITA metadata would be very useful. Looking more towards the content delivery side, a service technician, for example, might want to have specific information regarding an error code. Again, we talked earlier about the event class below the functional metadata. This would be very useful here. And as a last example, maybe someone is interested in your products and the acquisition wants to compare the technical data. So maybe it would be good for them to easily find the technical data of your various products. Let's actually hone in on that example. So we have a use case. What does that mean in metadata terms? It means basically we need a metadata that explicitly says this topic is about technical data. So in iiRDS logic, this would be an information subject, also an information type, and it would be attached to your information unit. Now, AM is not based on an ontology. So how do we make that fit? This is done by translating your conceptual metadata model into a usable interface, and you can do that via metadata schemas. What is a metadata schema? Basically, it is a custom editor to create your own metadata entry forms. When creating this form, it is easy to put in new fields via drag and drop for whichever kind of property you want to input. Then you can define how and what kind of property you want to enter in that type of field. So, for example, you can also give some description to help your author or give it a proper name. One important part is also usually to predefine some possible values you can assign for your property, as it usually makes sense to predetermine the values you want to assign in your metadata model. However, the most interesting part is here how to clarify the semantics of your metadata. And here the field map to property is important because it defines where and how your metadata will be stored. It is basically comprised of two important parts. First, at which node in relation to your information unit will you store your property? As you can see on the right side, we have a view of the backend of AM. The uppermost part there is the node for the information unit. And below that, we have several nodes that describe this asset. And the node metadata is where we will want to store our new property. Actually, the node JCR content metadata is also the default node for storing asset metadata for DITA content. The last part of the map to property field is what you will call your attribute or property. Now, the first part is the namespace we have defined for iiRDS, making it uniquely identifiable. And we have also written the property to align with how the properties are written in iiRDS. So it could be perfectly matched with your iiRDS schema. Please note that the values at the right side will only be assigned once your authors actually interact with the metadata on a certain type of asset. This is also the point at which an attribute will be assigned to the asset. But as you can see, this way you can create the basic interaction through which you can then handle your metadata model during authoring.
Okay, so you have seen how to define metadata in the backend of AEM. Now let's have a look how you actually use this metadata as an author. Well, you start as usual by writing your structured DITA content AEM guides. And as we have seen already, DITA files are treated as assets in AEM. Therefore, you can assign metadata to your DITA content as with any other asset via the user interface. The metadata you can assign is the metadata that you defined in the metadata schema. You can assign metadata to one single asset or some single DITA topic, but you have also the possibility to assign in the asset view metadata to a number of topics at once. When you then publish your metadata enriched content, you can pass the metadata that is needed in the output to the output pipeline. You can choose what metadata should be passed to the output to make the metadata available for the published content, as you have seen in the demo. And the outcome is that what we showed you in the demo, you can create an integrated user experience that combines technical data and documentation with other content, and you can leverage the metadata that you apply to your DITA content to provide and to deliver a targeted topic-based content to your users in a consistent user experience. So what are the key takeaways from today's sessions? The first is that DITA and iiRDS are two standards that are complementary for intelligent information and for all the new application scenarios that come with the new industrial Internet of Things.
Secondly, throughout the entire process, AEM can provide you support by leveraging both of those standards. In AEM Guides, you can create DITA content and assign iiRDS-based metadata, and then you can use AEM sites or AEM headless to push your metadata enriched content and have it used in a variety of ways.
AEM also provides additional value by the possibility to combine marketing content with documentation content that can be integrated without copy and pasting.
So all that's really left is for you to jump in and discover how DITA, iiRDS, and Adobe Experience Manager synergize and create incredible experiences. Thank you very much for listening to our talk.
Thanks for listening to our talk. If you have any questions, just drop us a line.